Hi, my name is Richard Dix, and this is How Did That Happen? A podcast where I look at everyday things or events and try to figure out how they came to be. Every week I will research one topic, and by the end of the episode, I hope to truly have the answer to the question, how did that happen? Hello, and welcome to another episode of How Did That Happen? This week we are discussing headphones. They have a rich history that involves French operas and even a kitchen table in Utah. Come along for the ride this week as I ask, headphones, how did that happen? There had been a number of devices that were used to listen to audio before the headphones. One of the first things invented that resembles the modern headphone was called the Theatrophone, and it was invented and debuted at the 1881 Paris Electrical Exhibition by a man named Clement Ader. This device worked telephonically, meaning that it utilized the existing phone system as its basis. It allowed people to put small speakers to their ears and listen to an opera performance in another building more than 2 miles away. It would be used for both opera performances and theatrical performances. It's interesting to note that Ader also created flying machines, and some of the stuff he made looks like it came out of Willy Wonka. I may have to post a picture on the Twitter account. In 1891, French engineer Ernest Mercadir patents the first in-ear headphones. First off, I didn't know they were French guys named Ernest. I really didn't. But he patented the first set of earbuds. These early earbuds even had a rubber cover over the ends that went into the ear, somewhat like the ones that we have today. So really, the design of the earbuds hasn't changed. I mean, it's changed, but like the actual initial technology of put something in your ear, put rubber over it, it's gonna feel better. It's just basically for the friction has been the same since the beginning, since 1891. The Electrophone was created in 1895 in London, England, as a successor to the Theatrophone to allow people to tune into live performances, music halls, as well as Sunday church. So before, the Theatrophone was just doing operas in theaters. Now they're doing music halls. Now they're doing church services on the Electrophone. This was done using the already established phone line, like we're saying the telephonic use. They could get this all for the price of $5 per year. Subscribers were given headphones that connected to their telephone lines. They even operated on a coin-operated basis in some hotels and restaurants, meaning you can get something to eat, or you're sitting down, you can listen to the show, put a coin in, or you're at the hotel with your lady and you want to, listen to a show, you can do that. And the headphones that they were using when they were getting them at their homes or whether it be at the hotels and stuff, they were basically speakers with long wires that were coming out of the machine, and then you would hold the speakers to your ears, and then that would be how you would hear what was going on. Both the Electrophone and Theatrophone fell out of favor due to the rise of radio in the early 1930s, which it sounds a lot like the newspaper and the internet. The first headphones that look like what we know today were invented by Nathaniel Baldwin in 1910. He was a Mormon from Utah who worked as an electrician and also dabbled in air compression. It was this dabbling that led him to create sound amplification devices. He started with loudspeakers and then eventually moved to wearable technology. He sent some prototypes to the Navy with a letter reportedly written on pink and blue paper with purple ink, and then the Navy immediately ordered 100 pairs. But then they found out that Baldwin was making the headphones at his kitchen table and could only make them in sets of 10. The Navy worked with him and continued to buy them at the slow rate that he could produce. They even tried to get him to move to the East Coast and work out of a warehouse there, but due to Baldwin's polygamy beliefs, he had to stay in Utah. The Navy provided some improvements to the design and encouraged Baldwin to patent the idea, but he thought it was unnecessary because he could not see the vision. He was more worried with how the sound was created than the device that carried it, I think. The design was never patented, however. He created his own radio company after making those headphones, and it would go bankrupt within a few years. This guy is kind of interesting as well because he was an advocate of polygamy in the Mormon church, but was only ever married once. I find that odd. And so I know I said that he couldn't leave the state before because of his views on polygamy. It was literally because of his views, not because he was married to multiple women. He was just an advocate for the community. The first personal headphones were made in 1958 by a man named John C. Koss, who made them by accident when trying to create a portable phonograph. Before that time, headphones were worn for services like telephone operator and radio operator, and were used mainly in the military services. The Koss headphones opened up the idea of personal listening to the public. Koss created these in a store he founded in 1953 called J.C. Koss Hospital TV Rental Company, which is a very specific name for your business. Another thing that created a need for headphones is in 1954, Texas Instruments, in conjunction with Industrial Development Engineering Associates, created the TR-1, which is the first commercial transistor radio. This allowed people to harness the wide world of radio in the palm of their hands, basically creating like the first, like the idea of having like a portable radio, if you think about it. Or that was the first vision of that. Since that time, headphones have taken on a lot of shapes and sizes. With the blooming of the baby boomers, the headphones went from serious work hardware to being used by millions of youth. And there are a lot of advertisements that really show. I mean, in the 60s and 70s, they were really marketing to younger people. And there's some stuff, interesting stuff I saw that shows where it kind of changed. That you can watch the people in the ads get older and younger as they kind of change who the headphones are being marketed to, and it is kind of interesting. A crucial part of headphones that I have not mentioned is the connector. The 35 millimeter radio and phone connector was created in the 1950s. The first phone connector was made in 1877 in Boston, Massachusetts for telephone switchboards. The 35 millimeter version we have today is half the size of those original connectors. And without really getting into like the entire history of like headphones after they become headphones, I guess I really will just mention things like the Walkman. That's what truly revolutionized the headphone, and it really kind of made it what it is today as far as being like ubiquitous with like personal music, and that led into the iPod and stuff like that. Then you have like the Beats by Dre, but I still feel like that stuff was necessary to talk about the actual invention of the product. We're all aware of that stuff. The question really is, how did we get to that point, And that is how headphones happened. And now it's time for the roundup. And we're going to round it up. Clement Ader debuts the Theatrophone in 1881 at the Paris Electrical Exhibition. This leads to the Electrophone, which is basically the same thing. From there, Nathaniel Baldwin makes the first headphones that we know today, and they were for use in the military exclusively. They remained that way until the mid-50s when a guy named John Cost makes the first personal headphones. This coincides with the creation of the first commercial transistor radio, which marries the headphones with portable personal listening. Walkman and iPods are born from this. Things I didn't know before. Okay, some things that I didn't know. There's a few on this one because it's somewhat interesting, I think. Before radio existed, and mostly in Europe, there was a thing called telephone newspapers, and they were similar to the Electrophone, except that they only read the news. So like you could just I did not know that before radio there basically still was a form of radio. I think that's pretty cool. There was an article that I read in the New York Times that there was a study in there that said that 50%, if not a little bit more than 50% of people who use headphones use earbuds. And I just thought that was interesting to see what the majority of people use. I'm not a real earbud guy. I'm an over-ear person, but I have earbuds. But to see people that like exclusively swear by earbuds, it's just interesting to see where the culture has gone, and the fact that when they created earbuds, they looked almost exactly the same way, or they worked almost exactly the same way. I don't want to say they looked the same way. People see pictures and be like, he's not, no. Yeah, they look different, but they worked pretty much the same way. This next one I thought was really interesting to me was that the German Air Force in World War II, the Luftwaffe, or I think I'm getting that right, they used headphones in their airplanes. And so the pilots, when they were in there, they would have Morse code going in both ears of their headphones. And so in one ear they have one set of Morse code going, and in the other ear they have another set of Morse code going. And then when they reached whatever target they were trying to drop the bomb on to blow it up, it would meet together, and the sounds would actually become one sound. So they would know right then and there, let it release the payload. That's pretty wild, and I'm pretty sure America didn't have that. When I read that, I was just like, that is just the Germans do it yet again. They are some smart people, I tell you. But then there's one more, and this is just not in any. It's like the Morse code in World War II, and the thing called the bone phone exists. I saw just when I was looking up different ways to listen to music. It is ridiculous. It's called the bone phone, and I'm not 100% sure why that name. I'll probably have to post a picture of this on the Twitter account. But it's like you're wearing a big thick lanyard or something of some sort around your neck, and that's the speaker. A lanyard is not the best because it doesn't connect, but it's when you look at it, you're just like, you want to meet the guy that signed off on it. This has been another episode of How Did That Happen? I am your host, Richard Dix. Be sure to like, rate, and subscribe. Thank you guys for listening, and see you next week.